Welcome to Talk a Good Game. The match has finished. West Ham United won. Aston Villa won. A game full of incident, it feels. Some penalty controversy and, of course, an awful lot of shots from Benrahma and also as many offsides from Maxwell Cornet, even though he was on the pitch for 2 minutes. But hey, look, there you go. I've got Tommy with me. We're going to discuss it all. Tommy, thanks for joining me, mate. What's your initial thoughts and impressions of that game?
I suppose first and foremost, just disappointed with the result, I have to say. We badly need some wins, especially at home, given how poor our away form is. You'd have to think we're probably not going to get too many points on the road. And so I think it's vital that we take as many points as possible from our home games. So very disappointed we weren't able to win that one. Villa were okay, decent side. You can see they're a decent side, but no more than that, really.
Yeah.
And I thought there was enough there for us to take the points. But unfortunately, again, we haven't been able to score from open play, and it took a bit of a soft penalty, really, to earn us a point in the end. So overall, I'll be honest. I mean, it wasn't a terrible performance. Certainly, it was much better than we saw last week against Brighton on the road. So it was a more encouraging performance overall, but I'm still very disappointed that we weren't able to make more use of the possession that we had second half, particularly. It's a point, but points are of very limited use to us at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that 1 point does keep us out of the bottom three, albeit on goal difference. Would it be fair to say, I thought we were, would it be fair to say West Ham were a better team today? It was us that were on the front foot for most of the game?
Yeah, there's no question. I thought we were the better team today, particularly second half. First half, I thought it was a little bit more even. And I thought, we certainly deserved to go in at least level at the break. Second half, certainly, I thought we were comfortably the better team for long spells in that second half. Villa had a couple of spells in the second half where they put us under a little bit of pressure, but they didn't really do an awful lot with it. For the most part, we were on the front foot in that second half and getting in and around their penalty area, causing them defensive problems. So yeah, I think had we found a winner from somewhere, I think it would have been a deserved winner, frankly. So yeah, I absolutely agree that we were the better team. Unfortunately, the situation we're in and how far into the season we are now, it's all about getting them 3 points, and it's just very disappointing that we weren't able to do that today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a tough. It wasn't a tough game. It was tough to watch us sort of toil in that fashion, really. But I think there were definite plus points to it. There's no doubt about it. I still felt that Danny Ings was a little bit isolated, particularly in that first half. At that point, with Jarrod Bowen was playing well. Clearly had the beating of his marker all game long, actually, Bowen. And I think very early he ran down the wing, put a crossover, fell to Benrahma. Benrahma fired it just wide. I don't know how many shots Benrahma's had today, but a lot. Between more than 5, less than 10. Haven't looked, okay, but he's had a lot of shots today, by the way. And listen, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to demean him. I thought Benrahma played well today. I thought, in that second half, he carried so much threat to their team where maybe not an awful lot of the rest of our team were, particularly at that. But it was full of incident. The first goal was scored by Aston Villa. Well, certainly my fears were borne out to be true, which is a carer being out of position. His positioning is horrendous. He doesn't know where to stand as a right back. He does not know. It's as simple as that. I think you could show him all the clipboards, all the Kevin Nolan show him on the iPad. He does not know which position to stand in as a right back. And actually, I actually felt some of his challenges and some of his headers and some of his interceptions were okay in this game. But and so often he gives the opposition such a massive advantage because he stands meters, and I mean meters, away from the person he's meant to be marking. So, as I mean, there's a story of the game. West Ham, I felt, were the better team. Clearly, Tommy agrees with me. But when Aston Villa did attack us, it was down there. It was down Kerr's side. They thought, okay, we'll have a bit of joy down here. I sort of understand it, caught between a rock and a hard place. Moyes in there. What's he going to do? Play Johnson or Kehrer there? I don't know. Maybe he could have switched the three at the back, something like that. Anyway, the supply line came from down there, and I was surprised, not that it came from there, but actually it was a shame it was Moreno, because I thought Bowen had gone up, doubled up against him. Maybe Bowen could have followed Moreno in there. Maybe, we might take a look at that. But certainly the way the cross came over, the amount of space the guy had to cross the ball, and then what happened in at centre-back was really disappointing, Tommy, how we went 1-0 down.
Yeah, I just have to reiterate that. I mean, Kehrer was absolutely shocking, particularly in the first half. Second half was better, but that first half, as you say, his positioning was horrible, absolutely horrible. And it's astonishing to say that, given he is a defender and he has played at right back numerous times for Germany. Yeah. It's astonishing, as you say, and like for the goal, I mean, he just kept backing off. Like I say, he just gave him 5 meters of space, and kept backing off Moreno, and he just gave him all day to look up, pick out Ollie Watkins, and cross the ball in, put it right in his head. And I'm thinking, like, what are you doing? I mean, there was another instance where Kehrer ran towards the men in possession in the middle of the field and just completely abandoned his post.
He did.
And Moreno was played in behind, a simple ball in behind him. Moreno was in acres of space. Another situation that thankfully didn't cost us a goal, but could have and almost did. Thankfully, Watkins, got too much on the shot. He side-footed it straight at Areola, and had he tried to slip that in at the far post, I mean, it would have been another goal for Villa. So that was absolutely shocking. And as you say, virtually everything that carried a threat for Villa in that first half came down that side, and it was Moreno in acres of space. I was a little bit surprised that Kehrer came out for the second half. I thought, if I'm the manager on the sideline looking at that, I'm thinking, this guy's going to cost us the game. So I would have liked to get Johnson on at half time. I mean, I know Johnson had a bit of a mare last week at the Amex, but I think Kehrer was so bad in the first half. You're thinking, all right, well, out on the right-hand side, playing as a conventional right back, Johnson would probably do a little bit better defensively than Kehrer is doing.
No, absolutely. And your thoughts on
position. So, that was a shocking first half from Kehrer, and to be honest, we're lucky that it only cost us 1 goal in the first half.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on Agurd? Once obviously we determined that the cross probably shouldn't have even come in the first place. Once it did, Agurd and Watkins.
Yeah, look, Watkins is a very, very clever forward. His runs are very, very good. His positioning is very good. He's difficult to deal with in there. He's a proper striker, Watkins, and he has a striker's instinct. And
yes,
he always makes those runs that make it difficult for the centre back. He's been doing this for some time. He was doing it for Brentford, and he's doing it now for Villa. Yes, Aguerd maybe was slightly switched off. Didn't react quite quickly enough to the run that Watkins made. But I don't think, I wouldn't put it in the howler category from Aguerd. Should have done a little bit better. But I think that ultimately it was a very good ball in. It was certainly a ball that favours a forward. And it was a clever run from Watkins. So could Aguerd have done a little bit better? Possibly. But ultimately, I think that the blame for that, for me, ultimately has to land firmly at the feet of Kehrer.
It does. My own view is Watkins was going to go and outsmart Agurd not that long later as well. I think Watkins certainly won the duel against Agurd. Yeah. So let's just so that was 1-0 to Aston Villa. Now, what's really interesting here, when West Ham scored and West Ham equalised, it was a penalty which was taken and scored impressively and emphatically by Benrahma. But the way the penalty was won, I'll just talk you through it. Well, Lucas Paqueta, it was a corner. We had a lot of corners today. I felt their goalkeeper was uncomfortable. I thought we did quite well. I thought Buendia was on the cusp of, well, all game was on the cusp of losing his temper. And so anyway, Benrahma had a shot. Sorry, Paqueta had a shot, was cleared off the line. Then as the ball came back out, the second ball, he shielded it. He shielded the ball and what basically won us a penalty. Penalty for you, Tommy?
No, I think we got away with one there. There was no contact whatsoever between Buendia. Certainly not at the level of the feet. Buendia was maybe had a hand on his back or something like that. It was a little bit of contact up around the shoulder area.
That wasn't Buendia, was it? Wasn't Buendia for the penalty? Was it? I don't think it was. That was Buendia and Ings who were having the argy-bargy at that point, was it?
Excuse me, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, the penalty was, who brought him down for the pen?
I can't think now.
I thought it was Buendia.
I don't know. I may be wrong. Yeah. Someone in the chat. I thought it might have been Bailey for some reason. But anyway, hey, might be wrong. But yeah, I mean,
yes, you're right. I think it was Bailey, but certainly there was no contact between their feet. No challenge.
It was. There you go, Bailey. Thanks, mate.
It was Bailey. Thank you. There was no contact between their feet. Essentially, Paqueta has bought us a penalty there. He sold it well. I'll give him that. You know, sometimes you see players going down, simulating, trying to win a penalty, and they're a little bit too flappy and a little bit, you know, they over-exaggerate it. Yeah. It's a little too dramatic, and the ref doesn't buy it. Paqueta made it look for all the world like he'd been tripped up. He wasn't, and it was a soft penalty. That was not a pen. I was surprised when VAR took a look at it that they upheld it. Quite frankly,
I felt it was fine though, because shortly after that, we should have had a penalty from Buendia. Buendia absolutely hauled Danny Ings down, and that was a penalty. So they got it. Basically, we should have had one penalty. We got one penalty. There were two incidents. One of them was, one of them wasn't. They got it the wrong way around. It turned out fine, but there was a lot of argy-bargy at corners, and they were. I felt they were struggling to defend them from all aspects, both the centre backs and the keeper, and they were struggling, as I say. But Buendia was all over the place. But Benrahma, should say, beautiful penalty. But we go in at half time. 1-1. Happy with that?
I was pleased, obviously, that we'd gotten ourselves back in the game.
Yeah.
I thought we deserved to be level at the break. I thought 1-1 was about right. I thought the game was quite end to end at times, and so I thought it was a bit of a stalemate, albeit neither team had been great. We'd both had our spells where we were kind of threatening the opposition, but both teams were lacking a little bit of quality just in that final third. The final pass wasn't quite there, or the final shot wasn't right. So 1-1 at half time. I don't know if I was relatively pleased. I thought we had been playing okay. I was obviously very worried about the Kerr situation, but other than that, I thought we were playing okay. We were in the game, and so I was relatively pleased at half time. But I did still feel that we needed to just pick it up a little bit, second half, and hopefully increase the urgency and really get out there and try and win it second half. Because it felt like, that was a real possibility that it was there to be won, because we had created numerous opportunities that we could have led to scores. And so I was optimistic that we might be able to do that second half.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to be fair, we came out for the second half all guns blazing. I felt two very quick chances with Benrahma, who
seconds.
I mean, there was some he came out with a real intent, Benrahma, and I couldn't help but think that maybe that's the benefit of competition for places, because Cornet was on the bench and he probably suspected, it's going to be my number that's up. And I thought Bowen played well in the first half. I thought he created opportunities, won the duel, beat his marker by and large. But as you still got the impression that Moyes would have opted to take Benrahma off first, and just Benrahma kept on having shot after shot, and they weren't all wasteful. Some of them produced saves, some of them were close. One of them produced a corner, and you wanted corners against this team. So I thought that was going quite well. Zuma played a couple of really nice balls over to Benrahma. There was a point, of course, where Benrahma put a crossover for Zuma, who headed just not just wide. It was about 2 meters wide, to be fair. But it was a good ball in from Benrahma, who really, I thought, grew into the game and had become our biggest threat by that point. Lots of pressure from us, lots of attacking. I thought we were much the better team. Then there was some argy-bargy, and the argy-bargy. Okay, so at this point, Paqueta's already picked up a card. Lucas Paqueta's picked up a card. West Ham had a better team by this point, if you hadn't seen it. Bit of argy-bargy. There's a call, just quickly, no penalty for Buendia when Rice absolutely agreed. No. But what happened was Rice then tumbled, and as Rice fell on him with his knee. All right, and I've got to say, I mean, Buendia is some people are a hard watch, right? Wilfred Zaha, the guy at Man United. What's the guy that moans? Fernandez, Mikel Arteta. Some people are a hard watch because they just moan all the time. Buendia's one of those. And I think he probably didn't do himself any favours because he spent all game moaning. I bet Rice falling on him with his knee in him. I bet that did really smart. But anyway, there was a bit of a fracas, a little bit of a set to. McGinn and Declan Rice had a talking to by the referee, but there was a lot of pushing from the teammates. And I felt at this point, Paqueta, who was already on a card, was starting to get involved in the pushing and the shoving. And when that happens, you don't know what's going to happen. I felt at that point, I was just hopeful. So I saw Fornells get readied really quickly, and I thought he's coming. I thought, just please don't let it be for Benrahma, because that's what I suspected.
Yeah.
And then I actually said it should probably be for Paqueta because he's about to lose his mind. Right? I thought Paqueta was close to snapping at this point, and so Moyes made the substitution with Paqueta. Took Paqueta off. I felt so he didn't get sent off. Paqueta sort of stormed off. Didn't shake Moyes' hand or do no high fives for Fornells. Stormed off down the tunnel. How did you see that?
I could understand the sub. In an ideal world, you wouldn't want to take him off, especially as you know, second half. You know, when you get deeper into a game, it starts to open up a little bit more, and that's probably the time when those passes from Paqueta start finding their mark. When everything slows down a little bit and he's got that little bit of extra time and there's a little bit of space that wasn't there before, maybe in certain places. So ideally, you don't really want to see Paqueta going off, but I could understand the reasoning. Like you said, there was a bit of needle in the game at that point and he was already on a yellow. And, you know, these Latin fellas, they can get a little bit... You know, they can get a bit petulant.
Buendia as well. I thought Buendia and Paqueta have both lost their minds, and they were both substituted, weren't they?
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, you know, to save them from themselves, really. Yeah. So I understood the substitution, but yeah, he did. He wasn't happy. He was probably already wound up anyway.
Yes,
a bit. You know, Paqueta. So already his mood is probably not great, and so he's stormed off down the tunnel. But he did come back out. So I wouldn't read too much into it. No. He came back out, sat on the bench, and I'm sure by the time we play again, he'll start again, and he'll be absolutely fine. I don't think it will be an issue going forward.
No, I agree. I agree. It was a bit naughty, was a bit petulant, but he'll.
Again, that's you know, that's that Latin temperament, isn't it? That you get sometimes, and just have to take it for what it is.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. It was a shame because actually he was trying some really quite cute passes to get the ball sort of, you know, through the channels. You know, a couple of nice balls over the top, a little nice reverse pass as well, which he played to Benrahma, which was really nice. Almost had us in and very, very close to goal as well. But we had a lot of attacks. It felt we had a lot of corners. I can't, you know, as unhappy as I am with Moyes, I'm not going to, you know, sit here and pretend things didn't happen just because I'm so biased against Moyes. I'm not going to. We had a lot. You know, if I'm going to go and say we had a lot of corners conceded against us against Larnaca, which we did, I've got to say, you know, we seem to have a lot of attacks. A lot of them felt.
We troubled them. Yeah, we troubled them all game down the flanks. Yeah, basically, everything good we did came down either the left or the right, particularly from Benrahma. But excuse me. But you know, Jared, I thought, played really well as well. I thought he had a really good game. He troubled Moreno non-stop, and Moreno got subbed off for Luca Dean,
Yeah.
as well in that game in the second half. And you know, there was a couple of times Jared was a little bit frustrating today. He played really, really well and he troubled Moreno all day.
Yeah.
There were a couple of instances where he got in behind and it just needed that pass popped off.
Bit indulgent a couple of times when he wanted the extra dribble
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
There was one, particularly in the second half, that first there was one pass inside where he had Lucas Paqueta and he just needed to roll the ball for him and he was running onto it and getting the shot off and he just played it behind him. And he had to control it and then just move the ball on again. And then he did the same to Fornells, you know, later in the second half after he came on, exact same position, just to roll it across for Fornells to get shot off, played it behind him. And Fornells tried to kind of dig a shot out from behind him, almost like the one that Ings scored against Forest. You know,
That's right. That's, yeah.
Well, yeah, but this one just sailed over the bar.
Yeah,
so
slight
a little bit
difference
frustrating.
in technique.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But Benny, I thought on the other side, just was skinning Cash all day long.
Yeah,
just absolutely skinning him. I mean, they just didn't know what to do with Benny.
No, he was very good.
He was superb. Good. So it's a pity, given the amount of joy we had down the sides, that we just weren't able to score from open play.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, just going on to individual players out. Oh, look, it finished 1-1. As you know, Cornet was brought on late for me. I saw a bit more. Look, I mean, I'd forgotten. I remember when he first joined. I said, "Crikey, this boy's offside an awful lot." I'd actually forgotten. And I remembered tonight. Yes, yeah, he doesn't understand the offside rule. However, he still was. I felt he was more involved. He came on after 84 minutes. We played 6, so I guess he was on for 10 minutes. I would have liked to have seen him earlier, and I felt he was more involved in the 10 minutes that he played than probably Ings has been for the majority of the game. So he does give you that outlet. He does give you a bit of pace. And, yes, he does get caught offside, but at least there's an option there to run in behind. I thought was anyway. So I guess it was good to see him back in that sense. I don't want to see him held back now. We got the European game, and then we got a couple of weeks. I want him fighting fit and in contention for the team. For next one. So players are anybody stand out for you aside from Kehrer, who didn't particularly impress today? Then we'll get on for those that did.
Yeah, he was awful. He stood out like a sore thumb, especially first half. But I suppose, to be fair, in the second half, it must be said also, just to be fair to him, second half, I think he tightened up a lot.
No, I know that. Sorry, I meant anyone else aside from Kehrer who you didn't think performed particularly well today. I've got someone in mind. I'm just wondering if you're thinking the same thing.
Didn't form again. I thought Danny Ings was frustrated today. He didn't ever really get into the game. I thought Aguerd was really caught lacking for that goal.
He was poor, but
he was really caught lacking for that goal. Just thinking across the back line, Zuma, I thought, played a decent game.
I think he played well.
I thought played really well. I thought Emerson had a really good game as well, actually, on the left hand side. Remember, there was a time we were worried that maybe he couldn't play as an orthodox left back. He's completely, the last few games, put that notion to bed. He absolutely can play, and very well, as an orthodox left back, and he's nailed that position down. It's his own now.
I'm excited to see him play there. Actually, I like it. Yeah. I like it. Well, the guy I thought was an absolute passenger, and to the point where it's almost like I felt like 10 men. It was Souček today. It has to say. Yeah. You were absolutely right, and I felt exactly the same about Kehrer at halftime. I was surprised to see him come back. I was also, I guess I wasn't surprised to see Souček come out, but that's only because I know he's a Moyes favourite. Because if I didn't know anything about West Ham or David Moyes, I was just watching that game as a complete neutral without any knowledge or backstory, I would have looked at Souček and they're going to get him off because he's barely kicked the ball. He's, whoever they bring on is going to be able to do something. Is going to impact something in there, whether it's Downs or Lanzini or whatever the case may have been. I was not impressed. I thought he was an absolute passenger today, and I didn't feel that they threatened us particularly much, particularly through the middle. They threatened us down Kehrer's side. Rice was sat there, so I think if you're going to put Rice in that central defensive midfield role, okay, then just get someone, get Lanzini or whatever. As I say, get Glenn Downs on. Just do anyone else is going to move the ball more quickly. In terms of players that played well, just before I'll do that, and then you can give your man of the match, mate. As I was really pleased to see Areola today. I thought it was quite stark. Areola's distribution, how quickly he distributes the ball, and if you're ever unsure, and I think this for myself, I'm ever unsure. I think there's not much of a muchness between Fabianski and Areola in terms of their goalkeeping, and that's fine. But the distribution swings it. The distribution wins it, because actually there were 2 occasions where we got off the front foot really quickly, and one of them he was even fouled, and irrespective of being fouled, he still did it. He still sort of got up, rolled to the side, and still threw it quickly down the wing to get us moving. He wants us to attack, and I love it. I love it. I really enjoy that. So yeah, well done him. Before get your thoughts on it, but my man of the match for today, and I do think Zuma played really well, by the way. My man of the match is going to be Said Benrahma, because I felt that he was a constant thorn in their side, and it's just disappointing that we didn't get the win. But yeah, I think that's nothing to do with intent. I think I was pleased today with the intent of the players and the intent of the team. I think the reason we didn't get the winners is probably more down to just tactically Moyes wasn't able to switch the chess pieces around, and I think that's there's not a lot we can do about that. What about yourself, Tommy? Man of the match?
Yeah, complete agreement. Benny really stood out today. As you say, he carried a constant threat. I mean, he'd be some player if he could finish. If he had the striking ability, someone he's been maybe compared to in certain ways, he's the style of player he is would be someone like Riyad Mahrez. If he had the kind of strike on him that Riyad Mahrez has, the finish, I mean, what a player he'd be. He'd be, unbelievable if he could finish. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't for the want of trying. Said Benrahma, from start to finish, tried to win that game for us.
He did.
And he very nearly could have. And I was really impressed with him today. Matty Cash could do absolutely nothing with him whatsoever. He tormented him from start to finish. Everything he did was positive. He stood out. In a decent performance, he stood out, I thought, head and shoulders above everybody else today.
Yeah, absolutely. A few mentions in the chat about Bowen for man of the match. Look, Bowen did play very, very. We mentioned him at the start. I actually thought Bowen was the best player in the first half. I really did. So yeah, he played particularly well as well. Look, I guess you're not going to play Cornet all games coming back, but I felt certainly, had he have played Cornet just not on from the 84th minute onwards, felt that Bowen was playing well. Had his, as you both times, but Bowen had his mark. So first of all, I think it was Moreno. Bowen had the better Moreno, and then Bowen had the better Adina as well. And also, obviously, as Benrahma had the better of Cash. And I thought, actually, had we, even if it was just from 65, 70 minutes, having a front three that included Cornet as well, I think we could have taken them today. And it's just that lack of ambition. I'm going to. I haven't mentioned Skamaka on purpose. I'm going to talk about him. That'll be on my my forum video tomorrow morning. So please go and check that out if you want. There's clearly something going on there. So Gio will be along later. He'll be. He's obviously at the stadium. He's not really gone to Miley Cyrus book signing. He is actually at the stadium, so he'll be giving his thoughts from the stadium. Later, we'll be back with lots of videos on well, I say both channels. We've got 3 channels. We've got this channel. Please make sure you subscribe. Stick your thumbs up if you know what I mean. Don't just stick your thumbs up. You've got to actually press the button. You sitting there watching a video doing that probably doesn't do anything. You can hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. If you can do that, that would be absolutely amazing. Please go and check out our Patreon channel as well. Loads and loads of good stuff on there as well. And of course, the forum channel, which Gio will be uploading live from the stadium later on. The links for everything down below. Tommy, thank you so much for joining me, my friend.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, mate, listen, you've really helped me out. Thank you so much. Indeed, always lovely to get your opinions. Thank you very much, everybody in the chat who's joined in. Hey, look, sorry we didn't get the win. What can I do? Well, not my fault, is it? Do you know what I mean? I'd have probably stayed on side, Tommy. Yeah, as I say.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be hard to win if Moyes isn't playing for the win. He settled for a point today. Make no mistake about it. Those substitutions were dreadful. Corney came on 86th minute.
Yes.
He brings Fornells on,
Oh.
for Paqueta, and leaves Souček on, just drops him back beside Rice. Shocking stuff, settling for the point as usual in a game that we really needed to pick up 3 points from at home. I mean, get Scamacca on the pitch, for crying out loud. Get Scamacca on the pitch. If you need to take Paqueta off, fine, put Downs in beside Rice. You could even bring Corney and Scamacca on, get Souček off, and get Ings off, and let Scamacca play in that number 10 if you want to put Corney up top. Do something to try and go and win the game. And as usual, he hasn't done it. Shocking stuff as far as I'm concerned. Just sitting on a 1-1 when we desperately need some wins, particularly given our away form. We're going to have to start winning these home games. We're going to need to pick up these points to survive at home. Southampton have gone to Old Trafford and picked up a point today.
Yeah.
The kind of game where we don't get anything from. And so just shocking stuff as usual from Moyes. He just has no intent to go and take the nettle and go for the 3 points. Even in the situation we're in, he still has this respect the point mentality. Let's make sure we don't lose it. That's the kind of mentality that I hope we survive, because we might not survive his mentality.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. No, I totally agree. It was frustrating to see the substitutions in the nature they were, and the substitutions were done so late, and it was disappointing to see that substitution, just done so late. Scamacca, as I say, I'll do a Scamacca in a video tomorrow, because I do believe the relationship was broken down beyond repair. Tommy, thanks very much. Thank you to everybody else who's tuned in. We'll be back, videos throughout the week, of course, leading up to the second leg in the Europa Conference League. As I say, please do remember to like and subscribe.